Real Talk with Real Media. I'm Joel Goldberg. This is Gina Danner from NextPage. Good to have you out here, and I want to hear more about NextPage. Tell us about the company.
Thanks so much. I'm so glad to be here. NextPage is a commercial printing and direct mail company. We were actually formed out of a merger of three very strong legacy companies here in town in 2013. And so collectively, the companies are over 30 years old. And we have about 115 employees. And we print everything from business cards to billboards. And where our real specialty is in direct mail.
So you've got it all covered from
Pretty
one
much.
end to the next end. It's interesting because we, of course, hear about so many mergers nowadays, well, forever. But when you're merging three companies together like that, and three companies, as you say, with a lot of experience between them, take me through that process and the challenges, the positives, the negatives, and how you're able to bring all that together.
Well, what was so exciting about these three companies, the company that I owned along with my brother was Mailprint. Been around, direct mail printer, very strong company. It was the largest of the three. The other two, Graphic Services and L&L Manufacturing, were owned by our partner Larry. Together they were about a third the size of Mailprint. So we brought those three companies together, and what is so fascinating is when we did this, employees were fearful, because what do they hear? They hear a merger, then they hear layoffs. And so they were afraid of that. But reality is we were looking for exponential growth, and we needed all those great employees to continue working because the printing trade is a true craftsmanship trade. And so we were able to take something of 1 + 1 and make it more than 2.
Which, in theory, makes a lot of sense, but sometimes you can get that fear. It's the human element, and again, people just hear merger, oh my gosh, I might lose my job.
Exactly.
They weren't in your head, and maybe they weren't fully believing it. So how do you get that message across to people and say, wait a minute here, this is a good thing? What was the strategy in making sure that everybody was not so much on board, but just believing in this and confident in it?
Well, that's a great question, and it took a lot of planning and a lot of conversation and a lot of education, and education around business, education around the industry, because I don't know if you've heard, print is dying.
I've heard a couple things.
Yeah, some people say that. So all these employees, or a lot of these employees, didn't understand where we were heading. Fortunately, most of them, the Mailprint folks, did, because they knew me and they knew Eric. And they knew that we were committed to the future of the organization and that we were in it for the long haul, and they understood how financially healthy we were. None of these three companies were in financial trouble. So it was an opportunity. So through all that education, we also stopped and decided that the company names and the company brands didn't deliver the vision. So we actually set out and created a new brand called NextPage. And it was more than a logo, it was more than a name, it was collectively about a true mission, vision, value, and brand promise that people could get their heads around.
And next meaning the future, not going backwards. When you sort of joked about it, I didn't know if you hear that the print world was dying. It is in terms of the way that we knew it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's over. And I think about that all the time. I always joke with people, if they get the newspaper delivered to their front porch and they might be the only one in the neighborhood, you get everybody else saying, what's that on your driveway? So people, not everyone, are reading, say, the news differently.
Right.
But there's a challenge to that industry of how to take it to the next step, right? And so how does that, and a little bit different, but how then does NextPage address moving into a different time period where it's not going away, it's just different?
No. So what we work really hard to do is increase the value of the printed page. And we do that a lot of different ways. One, through creativity and the way the piece is produced, but more importantly, add-ons to that printed page. Creating multi-channel experiences, so direct mail, email, social media marketing, and online ad placement. Tied that all together, you increase response rates exponentially, aka something 1 + 1 is something more than 2. And we've been able to do that over and over and over for our clients.
Once the clients see that, then they're telling everyone else.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, 1 + 1 does indeed equal more than 2.
Yeah. We recently did a campaign for a local nonprofit. Their exposure was about $30,000 in total cost between the printing, the postage, all of that. They were able to generate more than $480,000 in donations. That's something, and that was more than $80,000 than what they were expecting because we were able to exponentially add on to it.
That truly is the 1 + 1
Yeah.
does indeed equal more
Exactly.
than 2. So you show them,
Yeah.
right? And then it ends up
Yeah.
working out. With all your years of experience in this industry, I just wonder where it's at now versus where it was, say, 30 years ago, and where will it go without fully knowing 30 years from now?
Well, when I started 30 years ago, we literally pasted up boards. And I cut out letters, used wax, pasted up these boards, and took pictures with a camera of these boards to make plates. Now, things are done all on a computer. There are no printed plates on some of our applications, or the plates get directly imaged. It's amazing to see the evolution of this industry. And the tough thing for the print industry and the print owners is that it takes constant reinvestment and continuous evolution and training. I mean, printing presses will last literally forever if you take care of them. We literally have printing presses that are 60 years old,
Wow.
but our new technology, about 5 to 7 years. And we're replacing it. And that's $1 million+ at a time. And that is hard for small printing companies to stay up on the edge.
So what's the solution then?
It looks to mergers, acquisitions, roll-ups, which is what we've done. Besides the 3 companies we started with, we've brought in 3 more.
So when you're talking about merger, and you had talked about the importance of communicating and educating and letting everyone know, over 100 employees now too. So you obviously, you want to get everyone on the same page. You're all fighting, pulling in the same direction. What does culture mean to NextPage?
Well, culture it needs to be defined, and everybody thinks that they can define it, and everybody will follow. But reality is culture evolves. And I used to say our culture was, we're just a bunch of hardworking country kids. And I think that is still true, except these are hardworking, true craftspeople that I get to work with every day. And they will follow me off the ends of the earth because they've been able to see our ownership team lead from a position of strength. So by being good leaders and trusting us, they evolve and they continue to learn and push.
When I go out and I speak to businesses about championship culture, and you just, I was going to throw it out there, but you just hit the first word that I talk about in terms of culture, trust. Right? If there is trust, and not just from the top too, with each other.
Yeah.
So if you could build that trust, then perhaps everyone indeed will follow you off that, well, hopefully not off the cliff.
Well, not
but
off the cliff.
but
Up
I
the
know
mountain.
Up the mountain.
Up the mountain.
Yes, on the journey.
Well, I think one of the things that helped us evolve to that point was truly understanding